Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie and I'm joined by Bernard. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, Charlie. Yeah, just recovered from that tense game last night. But I'm all good, mate.
Yeah, we'll get straight to it then. Last night it was Villa 1, City 2 at Villa Park with 2 goals by 2 Portuguese players and 2 quite good goals for us. Ruben Diaz scoring the first one from outside the box on his left foot, and then a Bernardo Silva volley made it 2-0 just before half time. And Ollie Watkins scored for Aston Villa as well, which I thought was quite a good goal, to be fair to him. So 3 good goals in the game. We'll go to you then, Bernard. Thoughts on the result last night?
Yeah, I was quite impressed. I mean, for the first half, I thought we sort of more or less had it won, didn't we? It's one of those games though where you say, you know, at 2-0, you think it's the third goal that's going to be very important. If we get it, it's game over. If they get it, it's game on. And we didn't have long to wait, did we, mate, for them to get one back, which was a bit worrying. But no, credit to Villa. I thought they played, within what they've got. I thought they played very well that second half, and allowing for the fact City wasn't our best team. But we put our best team available out by all accounts. Obviously, you didn't leave people out of the squad because there's, just for the sake of it, they're all injured. So yeah, I think I said to my lad before the game started, when I saw the team and what we had on the bench, I said, if we scrape a 2-1 here, I'll be very happy. And and that's how it turned out. But all credit to Villa. I thought Villa looked very good, actually. All credit to Gerrard. They looked okay. They've looked okay anyway, even under Dean Smith. I thought the potential was there. But I thought they played pretty well with what they've got. And Ollie Watkins, you just mentioned there, scored the goal. I think Pep could make use of him, to be honest with you, somehow in the future. But we can't be nicking other teams' players, can we? It's certainly not Villa's. They get very upset about it.
Yeah, they do. So we'll go to the team news then. We lined up like this. It was a 4-2-3-1, I believe, last night. So a slight change of formation. Ederson was in goal, of course. A back four of Cancelo, Diaz, Ake and Zinchenko. No Kyle Walker, which was worrying for me. The 2 holding midfielders were Fernandinho and Rodri. I don't really like it when I see that. And then on the right was Riyad Mahrez. On the left was Raheem Sterling. And Bernardo was just behind Gabriel Jesus. What was your thoughts on the team news when it first came out?
Yeah, I didn't look at the subs bench initially. I just looked at that team and thought, "Oh, flipping out, what's going on here?" Rodri and Rodri and Fernandinho, and I thought, "What the flipping heck is this?" And then you look at the bench and you think, "Well, obviously, there's more problems than we initially thought, isn't there? With other players not being available, etc." So yeah, it was a bit of a shock. And as it panned out, fortunately, Rodri and Werner didn't get in each other's way too much, but they were playing a similar sort of role, weren't they? I thought it was a very odd, very sort of defensive-looking team, wasn't it? Let's be honest about it. Well, obviously, we did take the ball, we did take the attack to Villa, so it wasn't defensive overall. But given the facts of what we had, mate, I think I did sort of say Pep masterclass or disaster class. But to be honest with you, I don't think he had many options. I think he'd run out of options. So with the players he had available that were fit, that was basically the only team he could play.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go to Villa's team then. They lined up like this. In goal was Emi Martinez. A back four of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Tyrell Mings and Matt Target. The 3 in midfield was John McGinn, Marvelous Nakamba and the former City man Douglas Luiz was in midfield. Buendia was on the right. Leon Bailey was on the left with Ollie Watkins up top. What was your thoughts on Villa's team when you first saw it?
Yeah, I think I got 8 of Villa's team right, but I saw he changed a couple more, and it weren't because of injuries. He just changed it around a bit. But yeah, it was more or less. I mean, I always worry about people like Luiz because it's the old playing your old club sort of syndrome, isn't it, of scoring goals and stuff like that. But it as I say, it shouldn't hold any real fears to us. I was more worried about what options we had. Again, similar to the Everton game, what options we had off the bench if we weren't quite doing it. If it was 0-0 at half time, we were going to perhaps struggle a bit. So, as I say, it didn't surprise me too much, but there's a couple of guys in there I was thinking, let's hope we just keep them quiet and they don't do anything special.
Yeah, we'll go through a few live comments before we go to the stats. Big up Josh in the chat, big up Harry in the chat, and big up James in the chat as well. We'll go to the stats then from last night's game. 36% possession to our 64%, 9 shots to 17, 3 shots on target to 7, 3 shots off target to 5, 3 block shots to 5, 4 corners to 10, 1 offside to none, 8 fouls to 12, 1 big chance each, 1 big chance missed for Villa, none for us. That doesn't happen often. 1 counter attack to 2. 1 counter attack shot each, 0 counter attack goals for Villa, 1 for us, 8 shots inside the box to City's 10, 1 shot from outside the box to City 7. Emi Martinez had to make 5 saves, only 2 for Ederson. 333 passes for Villa, 611 for us. 81% accurate passes to our 90%. 53% accurate long balls to City, 74%, 29% accurate crosses to our 17%, 50% dribbles were completed for both sides. Villa lost the ball 101 times, we lost it 114 times, 55 duels won to 41, 14 aerial duels won to 11, 25 tackles to 11, 11 interceptions to 9, and 17 clearances to 13. Do you think those stats represent the game?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just big up to Harry. Just cheers, Harry, on there. He's giving me a big up there. Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? I thought on this game, and I thought obviously about the first 5 minutes, I think we had 3 good half chances. We could have easily been 1 or 2 up within about 5 minutes. But apart from that, I was thinking if this was on Match of the Day, sometimes we complain that they sort of play up the other team, don't they? But I think it would have been a fair reflection of the game. Because, Villa had quite a lot of it, even though they didn't have much possession. They made it count when they did have the ball. So I wouldn't have been surprised if it had been on Match of the Day and it would have been like a 50-50 split of chances for them and chances for us. And I suppose the 2-1 does reflect that, but it didn't feel like that. But then you look back and you think about that second half, and our chances were very few and far between. And as I say, although we did have more, on reflection, you couldn't have really argued if it had ended up as a draw or something like that. Because I thought Villa did very, very well within what they've got. So yeah. I think those stats show it. Obviously, it wasn't exactly 50-50, but they certainly had a go, and they were up there with City and really had a go at us.
Yeah. The next graph, the attack momentum graph. Villa have had more periods than some of our opposition have had this season, especially near the end of the second half. You can see they were the better team for, I reckon, about 5-10 minutes with that spike at the end. A few periods in the first half, but we were clearly on top. And then the second half, just after half time, like you said earlier, you have to keep it quiet for the first 10-15 minutes of the second half when you go in 2-0 up at half time. That doesn't happen. They score literally a minute into the second half. And then we had a period and then slight periods for Villa, and then they were on top near the end. It was getting tense near the end, weren't it, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, Big Morgan's on. Hello, Big Morgan, mate. He's one of my guys who he says I'm everywhere. Yeah, well, there's a song about it about me being everywhere, but there you go. Yeah, in those spikes, if you notice, the big spikes with City were, as I said, the first 5 minutes when we had 3 chances. Yeah. We did have spikes, but they weren't very big ones after that. And I mean, as I said, that reflects what Aston Villa were like the second half. Because I say, even though we did have the spikes, apart from that first 5 minutes, we weren't creating big goal scoring chances, were we? I don't think. And as I say, once he started throwing that ball into the box, and what he's got a good throw. I can't remember the guy now who's doing it. I tell you, he's probably got the best throw I've seen for a long time. Even going back to that game against was it Cheltenham last year? That guy who was throwing him into our box in there. Even better than him, he seemed to be hitting the penalty spot with the throws from just inside the half. So Yeah, I think that again just shows what it was. City had the spikes, had more spikes, but they weren't overly big spikes, so we weren't actually creating that much. And Villa did look a little bit more dangerous at times.
Yeah. Big up Big Morgan, as Bernard said. James says Villa are more organised under Gerrard, but City's quality was the main difference.
Yeah,
If you had,
I'll just say there that quality thing. It's exactly the same with Chelsea last night. I mean, Watford had a good goal last night, but it's just that little bit extra that shone through for Chelsea, and it's just that little bit extra that eventually shone through for us as well.
Yeah. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're new around here as well. We'll go into the players then, starting with the keeper, of course, Ederson. 2 saves, 1 successful run out of 1, 2 saves from inside the box, 24 touches, 85% accurate passes, 6 out of 9 long balls are accurate, 1 clearance, 1 out of 1 ground duels were won. He was fouled once. As well. Thoughts on Ederson's performance?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a 75th minute, wasn't it, when the sub went through. I won't even attempt to pronounce his name, Chukwuemeka or something, or whatever it was, Chukwuemeka or something. And that's what you need, because he had no chance with the goal, and you can't blame him for that. Not much he could do with that one. Obviously, when we're under pressure with these long throw-ins and free kicks, etc., he got fouled a couple of times, but at least he was in there trying to get the ball as well. So, yeah, I mean, that 75th minute set, it was a block, basically. I mean, he just made it. Fortunately, he kept his legs shut this time, and Chukwuemeka couldn't put it through his legs. So, hey, yeah, he did what he had to do. That's what he gets paid for, mate, just doing that big save. I mean, 75 minutes, that had been 2-2. Who knows, mate? Who knows what? I'm sure we might have gained control again, but I've no faith in that. And he couldn't throw anyone off from the bench, could he? So, all credit to Ederson. I thought excellent last night. I think all the guys who have a go at him should be great. That's what he can do, and he did. He sort of kept us in it at that stage, and that's his job. But that's what he did, and that's all we can ask.
Yeah, definitely. We had a few players missing last night, and Kyle Walker didn't travel, which means João Cancelo moved from left back, where he's normally been playing this season, to right back. He was dribbled past twice. None out of 6 ground duels were won. 1 out of 5 aerial duels were won. 11 times he lost the possession. 2 fouls, 92 touches, 91% accurate passes, 1 key pass. None out of 2 crosses were accurate. 6 out of 9 long balls were accurate. 1 shot on target, 1 shot blocked, and none out of 1 dribble attempts were successful. Thoughts on Cancelo's performance?
Yeah, it's a funny one, that, because I thought he didn't play that well, and then I read a couple of people's views that said he had, and then I saw the highlights back, and I saw a couple. He did another outside of the boot ball down to the right at some stage. I think the second half was a cracker, brilliant. But then you show them stats, and I don't think he played that well. I thought it was one of his weaker games, and in all fairness to him, he's not used to playing right back anymore, and he's not used to playing up the right hand side with the guys that are on the right hand side. So I'm gonna forgive him it, because obviously he's not used to doing it. But I thought he's one of City's weaker players last night, Cancelo. And I say those stats, as you said, the ground duels and stuff that an aerial, he didn't sort of win them, did he? So I think defensively he was a little bit poor last night, but as I say, he was one of. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy you showed me them stats, because I was doubting myself. But I think you can see the highlights. You see all the best bits on the highlights. Let's be honest about it. You don't very rarely see the mistakes. So yeah, it wasn't one of his best, but I'll forgive him, because as I say, it's playing on that right hand side. It is, if he plays there week in, week out, I think he would be absolutely brilliant. But while Walker's there, he's not going to, is he? Let's be honest about it. No. But I think if Pep played him consistently, I think he'd be outstanding as he has been on the left. I think he'd be even better on the right, because that's his natural side. But the fact that he keeps having to put him in occasionally, I can't really blame him for that. Even though I did mark him a bit low on my scores, but I can't really, on reflection, I can't blame it, because he's not used to it. So not his greatest game, but there are reasons for it.
Yeah. Next up is his Portuguese teammate, and turned into Vincent Kompany with a long shot, scoring the goal. 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 2 interceptions, 1 tackle, was dribbled past once. 2 out of 5 ground duels were won, 2 out of 3 aerial duels were won. 6 times he lost the possession, 2 fouls, was fouled once, 80 touches, 92% accurate passes, 3 out of 6 long balls were accurate, 1 shot on target, and 1 shot off target. Thoughts on Diaz's performance?
Yeah, considering he had another centre back to play alongside, which is never helps, does it? If you swap and change and stuff like that, and that goal with his wrong foot. I mean, he's not left foot. I only realised later on he's not even left footed. I mean, so that was a cracker. It might have took a slight deflection, I think, didn't it? I'm not overly convinced that. I think it took a deflection off the first guy, didn't it? Slightly, but yeah, he was willing to have a goal. But yeah, a great game. I think one of the guys said after that goal, the next thing he was doing was blocking up in, he was blocking a shot in defence. So yeah, great. I mean, considering you're asking him to play with different guys, I thought he was excellent again. And if you Diaz, sorry, I might have said Rodri. If Diaz is going to score a goal as well, I mean, what more can you say? Absolutely, he just doesn't ever seem to really let us down. He's not perfect by any means, but yeah, his consistency is up there with a couple of other City players at the moment, and he's one of our most consistent players.
Yeah, like you said there, he had another centre-back partner to play with. Next up is Nathan Ake. 2 clearances, 1 block shot, 1 interception, 65 touches, 100% accurate passes, 1 out of 1 long balls were accurate as well. Thoughts on Ake's performance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was overshadowed by his partner, but I think we've said it before. I quite like Ake. He's as a 4th choice centre back, he's got to be one of the best in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. And he doesn't very rarely let us down. And he was just solid last night. He didn't do anything spectacular. His passing was accurate. I don't remember him particularly doing his passing was in front of players as well. I mean, some of our guys in defence have a habit of just putting it behind the player, so he has to come back and retrieve it slightly. But Aki's pretty good at that. He got a bit of time to do it, but yeah, I thought Ake was solid last night, considering he's our 4th choice centre back, and he probably didn't know till late he was playing. So all credit to him.
Yeah, big up Chris, Leicester Till I Die TV in the chat as well. Next up then is Zinchenko, who was at left back. 1 clearance, 1 block shot, 3 tackles, was dribbled past once. 5 out of 7 ground duels were won. 6 times he lost the possession. 1 foul, he was fouled once. 100 touches, 95% accurate passes. 1 key pass, none out of 1 crosses were accurate. 2 out of 2 long balls were accurate. 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, and 1 out of 1 dribble attempts were successful. How do you think Zinchenko played?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I thought I remember 2 shots that were way off target. I don't obviously it just said 1 there, but I'm sure he had 2. I don't remember unless it was a feeble shot and it was an easy save. I can't remember, but I remember twice saying, "What the hell are you doing? Pass it!" You're not Rodri. You're not flipping Rodri's rocket. Just pass it. But he has won. He has scored for his international team. I think he may have scored for us in the past. I can't remember, but it did annoy me a little bit a couple of occasions. But again, it's like Ake, isn't he? He doesn't tend to get much games. I don't think he was as good as the last game he played for us, where he was a bit better on that left-hand side. But yeah, he was just good, okay game for me for Zinchenko. Nothing special. As I said, those 2 shots that I remember cringing about. There's certainly one where he could have laid it off to someone else, was in a far better position, and he definitely hit Rose Ed with that. I think that was in the second half, where it wasn't too long into the second half where he just welded it and hit that second tier of the fans in that opposite stand. It was a terrible shot, and he could have laid it off back to somebody else there. But yeah, again, similarly, he doesn't play that much, and so you have to give him a little bit of leeway, don't you? But he was okay, nothing special for me.
Yeah, you said before about the long throws, saying you can't remember who it was. That was Matty Cash, and then the guy who came on for Villa, Chuck Wamaker or something like
that.
Yeah. We'll go into midfield then. It was a double pivot, which I was a bit worried about. Fernandinho next up. He was on the pitch the whole game. 70 touches, 87% accurate passes, 3 out of 4 long balls were accurate, none out of 2 dribble attempts were successful, 1 out of 6 ground duels were won, 3 out of 7 aerial duels were won, 10 times he lost a possession, 3 fouls, he was fouled once, and 2 clearances. Thoughts on Fernandinho's performance?
Yeah, I think someone else said he's looking his age now, and again, you'll get that with this. He's not playing consistently, is he? I think he was certainly slightly better performance in his last game he played. To be honest with you, wasn't very good in that one, and obviously he was a big part of the second goal. Of course, obviously Mahrez passed it to him, didn't he? And then he played it through. He did show his age a little bit. Did some great stuff. Did some pretty bang average stuff and did a couple of not very good things. So, yeah, I don't want to say too much about Fern. He's been a legend for us, of course, but he's showing his age now. I think, Charlie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, he weren't good last night, to be honest. Like you said, the lack of game time as well, it doesn't really help. But you can't really drop Rodri on the form he's been in this season.
No.
We'll go to Rodri next then, the second part, the double pivot. 98 touches, 86% accurate passes, 11 out of 13 long balls were accurate, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, none out of 1 dribble attempts were successful, 5 out of 9 ground duels were won, 3 out of 5 aerial duels were won, 14 times he lost a possession, 3 fouls, was fouled once, 1 clearance, 2 interceptions and 4 tackles. Thoughts on Rodri's performance last night?
Yeah, he was allowed to move a little bit forward. One to with Ferner being back there, but I didn't. I sort of scored Rodri okay. Actually, I thought he played okay, but I did notice a couple of when he does get caught the wrong side, he can be very, very. Like Ferner's very clever at fouling, isn't he? Let's be honest about. It. But Rodri hasn't learnt that art, and the trouble is when he's gets caught the wrong side, he does tend to give clumsy fouls away, and sometimes not necessary. Where we've got guys back, it's not as though he's the last man, which obviously we get that with Firm. He knows when to do it, but Rodri tends to not know when to do it sometimes, and that annoys me about him. But as I say, he's had sort of the plaudits for the last few games, so I'm allowed to sort of say something a little bit negative. And I did notice that last night he was just a bit clumsy at a couple of times, which obviously for a big lad he's bound to be. And again, one other thing I did mention, he did get up for one where he had a chance with a header, and I do want to see him more in that box heading because he's a big lad, and I want to see more presence from him, and I think he's got the ability. And there was an element of that last night where he connected to something. Nothing came of it, but at least he was up there connecting with it. So I was happy with that side, but as I say, I saw a bit of the clumsy side to him last night as well. But I think because he knew there was guys behind him, I think hopefully that's why he did it. He can be a little bit clumsy, but he's a big lad, isn't he? So you don't expect him to have finesse like Bernardo, do we? Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, definitely not. Next up then is Riyad Mahrez, who was on the right. 64 touches, 90% accurate passes, 3 key passes, 1 out of 9 accurate crosses, 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, 1 shot on target, 1 shot blocked, 1 out of 1 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. 13 times he lost a possession, was fouled once, and 1 clearance. Thoughts on Mahrez's performance?
Well, he's another one that I thought had a poor game alongside Cancelo for me. Obviously, those stats there, the interesting one, I think, was the 1 out of so many crosses, wasn't it? I think that just about summed it up. I think these sort of games, this is when I want Mahrez to step up, where we need him to step up, because let's face it, we're down to the bare bones. So I want him to show a little bit more in these games, and he's done it before. Where you want him to show up, he doesn't, and when you don't particularly want him to show up, he does. It's just weird, and I thought he had a poorish game last night again. Although, obviously, when I look at I was looking at the MEN, the local paper, and they sort of rated him quite highly. So I might have watched a totally different Mahrez, I don't know. But to me, it was a bit disappointing again last night. I thought he could have raised his game a little bit, considering, obviously, we need our big guys to step up for games like this, where we're a bit... Horrible thing to say with City. We've got such a massive squad. How can this happen? But we're down to the bare bones, and I expected more from him, to be honest with you, than we got last night.
Yeah. Next up is arguably the best player in the Premier League at the moment, Bernardo Silva. 1 goal, 51 touches, 81% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 1 out of 1 crosses were accurate, 1 shot on target, 1 out of 2 successful dribble attempts, 2 out of 6 ground duels were won, and none out of 1 aerial duels were won. 14 times he lost the possession, was fouled once, and 1 clearance. Thoughts on Bernardo's performance?
Yeah, I mean, that heat map there's nowhere where he was particularly hot, was he? He was all at different places in the game. But I mean, you can forgive him lots of things, can't you, for that goal? It's as simple as that. I'll forgive him anything. As I said, it's shown on there. He lost possession a few times. His passes was quite low, wasn't it? 81%, did you say, on the passes? That was quite low. But, you know, you don't think about that. You don't think about that Bernardo last night. It was just another genius performance. And if you're going to add, I've always said, and I keep saying it, I'll bang it, even when he was at a low ebb, I thought he should be playing further up the pitch. And he's proved it yet again. He can be pretty lethal in front of goal if he gets his chance. You know, you won't bury him all, but I mean, look at what can you say? You run out of superlatives for that goal last night. That was anyone else, most other players, even like someone like Messi, I suppose, would probably attempt something like that. But most players would have took it down, wouldn't they, and done something with it. But that was absolutely stunning. So I'll forgive him 81% pass completion, because he's just a little magician. He's just like you know, we said we couldn't replace David Silva, didn't we? But let's hope he stays, mate, because obviously he's the ideal replacement for our little David, who's another genius. But this guy is a genius.
Yeah, James says Bernardo Silva has been superb for you guys this season. Do you think he's been our player of the season so far?
Yeah, I think someone was on social media before saying who's been the best player this season, Salah or Bernardo, and I said, well, all right, as a most complete player, I'd always give it Bernardo. Yeah, I wouldn't bulk at Salah being saying, oh yeah, Salah's the best. Of course I wouldn't. But for an all-round complete player, utility player, he can play at the back. You know, he can play at the back, linking up the back to the midfield to the attack. He's just He's got to be up. He's got to be the best so far this season. It's just obviously people are mentioning Salah because he's having a wonderful season. Of course he is, but yeah, as an all rounder, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Next up is Raheem Sterling. 1 assist, that was for the Diaz goal. 70 touches, 82% accurate passes, 5 key passes, 1 out of 5 accurate crosses, 2 out of 2 long balls were accurate. 3 out of 9 successful dribble attempts, 6 out of 20 ground duels were won, 26 times he lost possession, 1 foul, was fouled once, 3 interceptions and 2 tackles. Thoughts on Sterling's performance last night?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of lost possession, mate, isn't it? I didn't feel like that. I mean, obviously, of course, he's going to lose possession, the position he's playing. But I thought Villa weren't really sort of doubling up that much on him. So it gave him free rein to get to that touchline or get to the byline and get these chances, these crosses in and stuff like that. And again, he got an assist. I mean, whether he was aiming for the edge of the box where obviously Jazz was lurking, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that worried me, that stat there you just showed me. But I thought he had an okay game. I think this is a bit more like the old Sterling, not quite up to scratch, but certainly for the last 3 or 4 appearances he's made, a little bit more of what we expect. And yeah, I'll forgive him the lost possession. He did a good assist, and he played. I thought he played quite well, even those stats don't look that great. I thought he had a good game last night.
Yeah. The final starter was Gabriel Jesus. 87 minutes played. He went off with a couple minutes to go. Our only change of the night. He got 1 assist, 1 shot on target, 2 shots off target, 3 shots blocked, 6 out of 6 successful dribble attempts, 45 touches, 89% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 1 out of 1 long balls were accurate. 1 big chance created, 7 out of 10 ground duels were won, 1 out of 2 aerial duels were won, 7 times he lost the possession, 1 interception, 1 tackle, and dribble past once. What was your thoughts on Jesus' performance last night?
Yeah, I don't think he was involved in the game as he has been in some games. I thought it was reasonably quiet compared to others. But I mean, obviously, again, you sort of that cross for Bernardo. All right, Bernardo had to do plenty with it. It wasn't pinpoint. Obviously, it was pinpoint to him. But obviously, you didn't expect Bernardo to hit it first time. But his movement, and obviously, to get free and actually supply that ball was superb. And he worked hard again. I just thought it was one of his quieter games. But again, that doesn't mean he had a bad game. It just means it was a little bit quieter. So I'm not going to quibble. Certainly one of the best assists you're going to see all season. It'll be played again and again. So I suppose he's quite happy about that. But yeah, Jesus was fine. Not as involved as normal, I don't think. But he didn't let us. He didn't let us. I don't think any of the players really let us down last night, and he certainly didn't.
Yeah, definitely not. Next up, we only made one sub in the match. It was actually the former Villa man that spiced up the atmosphere a bit. Jack Grealish came on. He was on the pitch for 8 minutes, 10 touches, 67% accurate passes. None out of 1 long balls were accurate. None out of 1 aerial duels were won. 4 times he lost a possession. He weren't on the pitch for long enough to do much, to be honest, was he?
I don't understand Pep's logic, mate. I don't understand why he brought him on. I mean, the crowd were quiet. To be honest with you, the last 5 minutes of the game when he came on, I thought we more or less killed it. I wasn't panicking that I had been the previous 30 minutes. You know, I wasn't getting all nervy. I thought we'd controlled it and we could see it out. So what do? You bring on a player that's obviously going to get the crowd back up again. I don't understand the psychological decision, to be honest with you. You've quietened the own fans, so why give them the possibility of getting up again? But as I said, a lot of the fans weren't booing it. A lot of the fans were applauding him. So I suppose it wasn't too bad a decision to make in the end. And it was good for Jack Grealish. I know he walked around the ground at the end applauding the fans that stayed, etc., etc. So all credit to him. So again, perhaps Pep did the right thing, but I just don't understand the logic of bringing. I mean, having said that, who else would you brought on? But I did, to me, I'm surprised he just brought anyone on. I thought we were comfortable. He didn't need to particularly make a change. He wasn't going to bring 3 subs on to wind down the clock. So it just seemed an odd one, but it worked out, I'll say. So, but yeah, I think he held on to the ball well. I thought he played okay for the 7 or 8 minutes he was on the pitch with the injury time. I thought he sort of held the ball up, didn't do anything spectacular, but yeah, he did okay. And I say, yeah, it's more for him, I think, than perhaps for a team. I think it was more for Grealish than perhaps for the team, but Pep knows what he's doing, I suppose.
Yeah, we can't really argue with a man that's won most things they are to win in the game with where he's been. We'll talk about him then. How do you think Pep did last night?
Yeah, well, he's like you and me are probably given the options at the moment, mate. I don't think we'd pick much of a different team, would we? I mean, obviously, I do my team predictions 2 or 3 days before, so I have no idea who's injured and who's what. But if I had the knowledge of who was injured, I mean, I think most of us would have picked that team last night, especially if Foden and Grealish weren't 100%, which, let's face it, they're coming back from injuries, etc. So, yeah, he just, and tactically, yeah, I mean, we've got good players, haven't we, mate? Even these sort of, when we get to the players like Aki, they are good technical players. So, yeah, all credit. Tactics-wise, we were a bit worried. You were worried. I was worried. We're all worried of the old double pivot, the old Ferner and Rodri, but it worked okay. Not perfect by any means, but yeah, I mean, Pep's lucky at the moment because he doesn't have to overthink it because he's not getting any options. He's not getting the options to overthink it now. If he'd put 2 or 3 of the young lads in last night, I would think, what the hell are you doing? But he's sensible. He's sensible with what he's got. He's being sensible. So I hope he's sensible for the next game, allowing for the fact that you can rest players next week because of this European game not mattering. It doesn't matter we won it. It doesn't matter. So Pep knows that. He's not daft, and his staff know that. So I'm sure he'll be all right. Yeah, I think Pep did the best he can with what he had.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, then, we'll talk about our opposition last night, Aston Villa. How do you think they played?
Yeah, I thought Villa played very, very well. I mean, I think they're 13th in the league. Are they still 13th or something like that?
I think so.
I think the rest of the season, I would imagine they can improve on that based on what I saw last night. Even I don't rate Louise particularly. I've never rated him that much, but I thought he played okay last night. I think we said before, Watkins, excellent player. I'd love to see what we could do with Watkins at City. And I think that, all right, they've got, who's their main goalie that's injured? I got mixed up with Foster myself because he's Watford. I do these many games, I get mixed up. They've got their main guy's injured, isn't he? Their main goalkeeper. I'm not too sure who it is. This Martinez isn't there. I think
it was Martinez in goal.
He's not their main one, is he, though? I think they've got another lad, haven't they, who's usually the main goalkeeper.
Martinez was in goal last night.
Yeah. Did they have another guy who's usually their number one, if you like, rather than Martinez?
I think Martinez is first choice. But
right, okay. I thought he was like a back, like our Stefan, but a bit better, if you know what I mean. So yeah, they've got a good team. I think Gerrard's not a bad manager. I mean, all right, he's obviously come from a totally different league, but he looks as though he's got a chance, and I expect them to finish at least 10th or something like that, mid-table. I don't think they'll get dragged into the relegation zone. I thought I'd say they've got enough ammunition and they work on set pieces, which is good. If you're a Premier League team and you don't have the skill and what's it all round, if you could tell they work on the set pieces. At least 2 or 3. All right, one came off superbly. That corner was fantastic. Great little set piece move. We had it was perfect finish by Watkins as well. But so they work on them, which is all well and good, because obviously, teams like City, we can struggle defending set pieces, so your best teams can. So, yeah, I think they'll be all right. I was probably more impressed than I thought I would be, to be honest with you. I thought at 2-0, I thought it was comfortable, and it should have been perhaps, but no, I was quite happy. They fought hard, didn't they? And as I say, there's certainly nothing they could have done about that second goal. Let's be honest about it. So I mean, those goals are going to go in. They do against us, don't they? Wonder goals, But yeah, I quite like Villa. I like Villa. I've nothing against Gerrard. Or I'll sing the song about him and have a laugh. But I have nothing personal against Gerrard. Good luck to him.
Yeah. James has said, 1 minute, he says, Villa will get mid-table. They'll be fine.
Be fine. Yeah, I think before the season started with that squad, you imagine they would be mid-table to fight for top 8 even, and it's only because obviously Smith didn't quite get it to work, and I think he had a few injuries and stuff like that. But Gerrard's got a few good players to work with. So yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no reason we won't be up there going for Europe or anything like that. But yeah, he's got a good little squad there. To be honest, he can add to it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Next, we'll go from quite a good performance with Aston Villa to one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen by Mike Dean. Thoughts on Mike Dean last night, Bernard?
Yeah, well, I know, all right, we can be accused of being biased, but I honestly thought every 50-50 went Villa's way, to be honest with you. That's the trouble with referees. Occasionally he gives City something. He gave a foul on Ederson at one stage when we were under the cosh in the second half, which was fair enough. He got, and he was fouled, but I mean, some refs might not have given it, but hey, the VAR's there, isn't it? So I was just panicking a bit. I mean, there's a couple, wasn't there, where Aki slid in behind that guy and he went out. Well, he went out for a goal kick, but he gave a corner anyway. He gave a corner to Villa. I don't even remember it. Where was it Diaz as well? Diaz as well as Aki sliding at that near post, and he went out for a. To me, it was a goal kick, but he gave a corner anyway. But so, I mean, things like that you're thinking, oh no, don't look at the screen. He'll give a penalty. And thankfully, VAR didn't ask him to look at the screen. I was panicking a little bit because that was quite late on. So, but yeah, you do know Riley would give those sort of things. He wants to be the centre of attention, and I just do believe I don't know if there's any 50-50. We didn't get the benefit. We got the occasional one, and they always do. They're very clever referees. They're not going to do it full stop. Everything 50, they're not going to always give it to one team. They will throw in the odd one to the other team, but yeah, I mean, he's one of those refs that if you're not careful, if you don't get a 1-goal margin, you don't want a ref like Mike Dean reffing you, because something can go wrong. He can make a stupid decision and it's not going to be overturned. So yeah, he's awful. He is awful. Fortunately, I think that's the first time we've had him this season. to be honest with you. I think it is. Thankfully, but as I said, they're all pretty awful. But Mike Dean, it's the Mike Dean show, isn't it? And obviously, I don't think it's just City. I think a few of the big clubs, he'll give the 50-50s to the so-called smaller club, if you like, or the other. We're all should be on a level playing field. We're all Premier League, but he's not great, mate. I mean, obviously you don't like him. What did you think?
No, I was poor. Everything was going Villa's way, in my opinion. I reckon 1 in every 10 maybe went our way.
Well, they do enough. It's not him. It's some of the other refs as well. They do enough so that they don't look as though they're being totally biased. They're not stupid. They're not totally thick up there. You know what I mean? But they do. I mean, I think we had to say, I can't remember if it was the Everton game or the game before that, where everything 50-50 went to them. And it's just annoying. It's very, very annoying. I can just credit Villa as well. At least this is where I was getting a bit confused with this Martinez as a keeper, I think, because I didn't think it was him that used to waste time. I thought it was another Villa keeper that was really good at wasting time and every goal kick. My memory might be playing tricks with me, but last night I don't remember him because they do have I think it was recorded. They have the least time of a ball in play, Villa, when they're playing football in a match. 50-odd minutes, out of 90, so they actually worked it out, and Villa were the very worst. But they weren't too bad last night, so perhaps that's Gerrard's influence on them already. I'm not too sure whether they get on with it and stuff like that. But so that was good to see. But yeah, you say referees, just get that Shian, what she called that she's on assistant VAR against Watford. That girl that does it, Shian Massey Phillips. Whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
I've seen her ref. She's tons better than some of these guys that have been here. They've been here too long. Mike Dean's been here too. He needs to retire. Get gone.
Yeah, all the referees are poor nowadays, to be honest. Next up, man of the match. Who are you giving it to?
I know I'm boring, mate. I'm probably my 7th for the season now for this guy, but I don't think you can look anywhere else apart from Bernardo, can you, mate? I don't know what you think, but I mean, I think the City team last night, I have been critical of certain players, but I think they do so much good stuff. When they do something wrong, you sort of notice it a bit more, don't you? I think that's the thing with City. We've got such a good set of players there. But Bernardo, all right, he did stuff wrong. We saw that in the stats before. It wasn't his pass accuracy wasn't great, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You just forget all that and remember all the good bits, and all the good bits make him man of the match for me. And they have done about 6 or 7 times so far this season. He's been, and sometimes I've not given it him, even though he deserved it, because I got sick of giving it him all the time. But that's all you can say, really. Outstanding.
Yeah, and that goal as well. Not many in world football finish a goal like that on the volley first time from outside the box. James,
yeah, he's got that ability. I mean, we know next time it happens, he might welly it wide, might he? But they're not going to rip them in every time. Of course, they're not. But as I say, he's scored 2 or 3 now recently. Bernardo. As I said, I want him up there. I think he's one of our most accomplished finishers of our midfielders. To be honest, that's where he's probably a little bit better than David Silva. David Silva, he used to do well for Spain, but he never really scored. He should have scored more for City than he did. So scored some great goals, of course he did. But I think Bernardo's a little bit up on David for goal scoring. I think he's got that ability and never give up, and he almost always hits the target where he can. So make the goalie work. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah, James says Mike Dean should stick to going to watch Tranmere rather than refereeing.
He's a keen Tranmere Rovers fan, isn't he? I've seen plenty of video evidence of him supporting his team. All credit to him. And I think they made a comment last night. Oh, that was the best one last night, wasn't it, Charlie? When they said City haven't let in a goal from a set piece this season, the commentators said just before that corner came in where they scored. I thought that was typical. Just keep your gob shut, commentators. You don't need to say things like that. But yeah, Mike Dean. They did mention Mike Dean and Tranmere Rovers. I think he's a keen, and I think they were saying he's never refed Gerrard because he wasn't allowed to referee Merseyside games, which is the biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. Anthony Taylor referees Manchester games all the time, and he's supposed to be in Altrincham. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand what's the difference between Altrincham, Mr. Taylor, and obviously Mike Dean refereeing a Liverpool-Everton games. I don't, and he's a Tranmere fan. I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't understand if Anthony Taylor can referee United and City matches when he's supposed to be an Altrincham fan. The jury's out on that one, but yeah, it seems to be one rule for one and one rule for another, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The final thing we're going to look at then is the Premier League table. After this week's fixtures, sorry. Aston Villa still in 13th. They're only 2 points off United, who are in 10th at the moment. Of course, they've got a game in hand over everyone, and even 2 against the likes of Leicester, Brighton, and Wolves. They play tonight against Arsenal. We're up in 2nd, but overall, across the Premier League, it weren't the greatest night for results. Liverpool won 4-1 at Goodison Park in the Merseyside derby, and Chelsea sneaked a 2-1 win over Watford. We'll talk about that Watford game that we have on Saturday. How are you feeling for that one, Bernard?
Yes, again, I think 17th understates Watford. To be honest, I think they're far better than 17th. Yes, they stuffed United, they stuffed Everton, didn't they, at Goodison Park? So they stuffed 2 teams who probably were out of form at the moment, and they have lost 2 half-decent teams. They got stuffed by Liverpool, didn't they? And they got well beat by Leicester. But that Chelsea game. They were excellent. They were excellent that Chelsea game. They were unlucky, as I say. It was just Chelsea's experience and the quality eventually won it for them. But I think if we haven't got Walker, because I think Watford are a far better counter-attacking, quicker counter-attacking, I won't say they're far better, but a quicker counter-attacking team than Aston Villa are. So if we haven't got Walker, I worry about that. Of course, we should be beating Watford, of course we should, but I think 17's a false position for them, looking at how they've played and how they've gone under Ranieri. He's only been there like 5 or 6 games, so I think they will improve. I don't think probably won't get in the top half, but again, I think Watford should be safe based on what I've seen, looking back at some of the games and highlights and some of the bits and pieces. So. And they were unlucky against Chelsea, don't get me wrong, and say we will need to be at it again. We will need to be solid. I mean, if we turn up with that team that we played last night, we will have to work hard and be good again, and just make sure we try and keep it as tight as we can. Because, as I say, I do worry about them on the break. Of course, we should beat them. But no disrespect, I think Watford. I think they're due a shock result somewhere along the line. I'm just hoping it's not this week, because I think they have the ability and they're creating a lot of chances. They created double the chances Chelsea created last night, and they can, they've not got a bad actual percentage shot on target thing either. So, yeah, we will have to be at it again, as I say, with what may be a slightly weaker team again. Hopefully, we'll have a couple of the guys coming back, which will help. Hopefully, Foden and Grealish will be nearly 100%, so perhaps 1 or 2, both of them will play, and hopefully people like KDB, Stones, and Walker at least are fit enough to be on the bench, and Gundogan, of course, who we missed last night, who's been playing really well. So. I'm hoping one of them, 1 or 2 of them might suddenly appear, even though they weren't even on the bench last night. But we'll need to be at it again, mate. I don't think we should underestimate Watford, even though they are 17th on paper. It looks easy, but it's going to be a little toughie again, I think.
Yeah. Big up Nippon and Ankit, both in the chat as well. But we'll wrap it up there then. A good 2-1 win last night against Aston Villa. We'll go to you, Bernard, just before we wrap it up. Where can we find you, mate?
Yeah, if you go on, obviously, follow me on Twitter at Charles Deneen. Deneen spelled D-I-N-N-E-N. Or if you put in Charles Deneen or Bernard Deneen, obviously, but Charles is my Sunday name, Bernard's my middle name, but everyone calls me Bernard. You put in Bernard Deneen on any Google search engine, you'll find all my YouTube stuff, and I do stuff on films and TV as well. So if you like a bit of drama and a bit of films, I do reviews and information blogs, etc. on there as well. So not just City stuff, but I do at least 1 vlog every day on City and film. So 2 vlogs a day at least, sometimes 3, 365 days a year, Charlie. I don't think anyone else can claim that, to be honest with you. But yeah, give us a follow, guys. Give us your support. It'd be great to see you.
Yeah, cheers for coming on again, mate. You can find me at MCFC Hibs on Twitter, Dugout Daily on YouTube. We're live at 8:05 tonight for watch along to the Man United Arsenal game that is on tonight. Hopefully, we'll see an Arsenal win, but we don't know.
Might be a good game, that. I'm not going to watch it, but I might watch the first half. I've got something to do at 9 o'clock, but I might watch the first half anyway.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for watching. Big up everyone that has been in the chat tonight, and I'll see you all later. See you all at 8:05. Take care and peace.